So let's find out what CA has planned. So this is Total War Warhammer 3 dev chat on 6.0 and interim patches. What's next? What's up? I actually liked the last video they posted of this, so I'm really happy that we're getting another one.
Hi everyone, I'm Steve from the Total War community team, and I'm once again sitting down with some of the guys from the Warhammer development team to chat a little bit more about what's coming up in the future. Just a quick disclaimer, this video is being recorded before the release of patch 5.2, so even though we'll be talking about those patches and the kind of future of those patches, we won't be addressing any of your...
We're doing a quick little mini pause. I think this might be all filmed in one sitting, because this looks exactly the same as the first video we saw of this. And he's giving us this disclaimer about 5.2, this patch not being already out. So this might all be pre-filmed and set up on a schedule so we can get them. But that's fine. Let's go.
Feedback or responses to that from now, as we wouldn't have seen that, because unfortunately we can't see into the future as much as we wish we could. So with that said, let's jump into some introductions. But Rich and Sean, people have met you before, but do you want to give us a quick introduction as to who you are and what you do?
I'm the game director for the Total War Warhammer series. I look after the various DLCs, hotfixes, patches and the like with these fine gentlemen.
And Sean, how about you?
Yeah, I'm the lead designer on the next project coming up now. So I'm focused primarily on keeping the team focused and bringing it together ready for the end of this year.
Awesome. And we also have Mitch with us today, who's heading up the project to bring the kind of smaller updates and refreshes to the game in the interim patches in between the DLCs, like 5.2, which you would have just got your hands on. Mitch, do you want to give us a quick introduction to who you are, what you do, and also maybe your history with the Warhammer series?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Mitch. Some people will remember me, thinking way back.
Okay, this is a different dude. I remember the last video. This is a different dude. There was another person here. Because last video had these two dudes, but I don't remember this dude. Should I go and find the old video so we can go and figure it out? Did I miss any big news? Maybe. We're finding out. But Mitch is about to tell us how he worked on Beastmen, which Beastmen, super fun after their update.
To Beastmen is where I joined the project. On Warhammer with Rich and the team. And I worked on every DLC, all the way up to Immortal Empires. Some of the big notes in there were Tomb Kings and Vampire Coast. A couple of the ones that I led, some of my favorites. I then took a small hiatus after Immortal Empires, but now I'm back. And like you said, I'm going to be working on the patches and the updates, and just really having a think how we can bring all of the old content a bit more up to date.
Awesome, thanks Mitch, and welcome back.
Thank you.
So rework guy? I don't have titles for these two, but is he rework guy? I don't know what he is. I want to say rework just because of the Beastman thing, but then he said Tomb Kings and Vampire Coast, and I enjoyed both of those, but those weren't reworks. Does that mean we get reworks for them?
Let's jump into a couple of questions about the next DLC. So in the last video, we spoke a bit about the new Legendary Lords that were coming, gave some little bits of juicy information there. Is there any update on how things are going?
Yeah, things are going really well. We are way into our production pipeline now. So you'll have seen from the last video some of the creatures and characters coming to life with some of the animations, and we're also now working on lots of our audio content as well, so how these things are going to sound, how we're developing our designs, which I'm sure Sean will talk a little bit about.
Since greenies are coming, there would be good wah sounds. There would be some really good wah sounds. There would be some good greenie sounds. But if I remember correctly about the last what's coming next video, it's a lot of single entities coming. A lot of them. Corn, greenies, and was it ogres getting a bit of an update? Yeah, I think so. So, so they're working. Slaanesh will come and we will get Daikela. They cannot keep Daikela from us. Give us a great green. I'd be greatest boss. Skarsnik, give me your Prada. Oh god,
later,
that sounds wrong.
As we push forward in rounding out, the development process where we're going to iterate and then do some bug fixing and the like before we get to release. So looking really good.
Sean,
Yeah.
how are things going from your end? What are you doing at the moment?
Well, we're actually almost at like a playtesting stage now, so we've got it all together. It's a beautiful masterpiece that is filled with problems. So we will playtest it. We'll iron out those kinks, and
Let's be real here. Let's be real here. I'm really glad he admits there are problems, because legitimately, you're gonna make something. There's gonna be issues with it. I know who the last person is who's missing now. He spoke long enough, so I understood. But I'm very happy to see them admitting that there's problems. So they're gonna fix a good chunk of them, but let's be real here. There's gonna be bugs galore when it comes out. And that's okay. They're gonna fix them. We can give them time to fix them. But it's reaching playtesting. I'm sorry, I'm getting excited. I get easily drawn into things.
fix all the bugs. So yeah, we're just shifting into that phase now, which is for us the most important phase. So we'll be really relying on our QA team to give us lots of feedback, and we'll spend a lot of time playtesting ourselves. But as we shift into iteration, what looks like an amazing idea right now, we'll play it and go like, oh, actually maybe we could shift it this way or that way, and that's where like the real magic comes together. And that's what we've learned over the years, that this is like the most crucial stage to get like the best product. So we are there now, and we are not wasting any time with what we have.
So a word that you
It's
guys
pretty much
both
done.
mentioned there is iteration. And for those who don't know what that is, what is that, and what is that stage when you're in game development?
So we have like a few key stages for us. So we have the pre-production stage, which is where we decide what we're making. We've figured out who the characters are, what's the goal, what's the pillars to lean towards. After pre-production, we know what we're making. We shift into production where we start producing it. We make it, and during that stage, we just kind of have like the first draft. So once it all comes together, we then play test that, and we go, okay, so what was good, what was bad, what maybe it's like completely the wrong direction. We think we've missed the mark. As we hit into iteration, that's where we take a stop, we address it.
So they've already done their first play test where they're like, this feels pretty okay. And now we're hitting the stage he's about to say, the iteration phase, where it's like, how do we make it better? We'll let him finish explaining what iteration is, because I don't know the terminology.
We think, okay, we need to turn left here or go right there, and then we have a good few weeks of doing that, and then at the end of that, we then shift towards bug fixing so that we can polish the product ready for release.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely where we sprinkle the little.
So we had first stage, draft. Second stage, make the thing. Third stage, I think there was a stage before iteration, but I forgot its name, where they go and play it. Then iteration phase, which is where they're like, okay, we think this is okay enough. Now to spice it up, make it better, we continue doing the things. And I assume they go through the iteration phase a couple of times, and then when they're happy with that, they go to bug fixing. And they're in iteration phase, so they're not in bug fixing phase yet. And software develop just means they go back a bit and redo some stuff. Okay. That redesign and fix issues, then run through it again and again and again. I do that all the time. Okay. Iteration. I need another tab without exposing everything. Iteration. Okay, we've got a safe tab now, right? Yeah, we do. Okay, looking at stuff. Am I covering iteration? The repetition of a process or utterance. So, is repetition of a math... It means what the word means. I thought it was a title. So we're getting the word meaning, is what I'm saying. I will read through the whole thing for everyone, though, because it's important. The repetition of a process or utterance. What is the use of this constant iteration on the same things? Repetition of a method. But yeah, they're using iteration, I didn't do you guys got to see some of my stuff. Yes, please read this. We're no longer doing. It's a good approach. I think, yeah, so they're in the iteration phase where they're figuring out what to make. They're not in bug fixing yet. At least at time of recording. which means they might be at bug fixing now. Who knows? Who knows?
A little bit of pixie dust and magic into it, and just really polish it out.
So let's look at these new legendary lords. Let's look at Gorbad for the first one. Is there any extra stuff based, what you told us before? Any new...
Uh-oh. I'm getting just fancy word for testing ideas. Yeah, pretty much. Also, I'm getting bug fixing can be part of an iteration, actually. That's not how... that just makes it more complicated, in my opinion. Unless the bug fix is like something massive, like, we can't launch the quest battle, so that's a bug that we have to fix. I'm assuming there's a bug fixing stage where it's just like, okay, we've been running around with units in T-poses. We need them to slowly be in actual poses. No, that's too big of a bug. What's a minor bug? The sand textures haven't been loading in. We need to go and fix the sand textures now. That kind of thing. Why am I only thinking visual? I don't know, but that's how my brain works.
New stuff that you can talk about today regarding his playstyle mechanics, anything about him?
Yeah, I can go a little bit more detail. So last time we talked about how he was, this tactician that brings all flavors.
Okay, we need to bring up a different things. I'm a little bit worried. So, do you guys remember when Chaos Stores came out? When anytime content comes out, I don't know if it's because I make content now or not. Prior, I would watch maybe 1 or 2 trailers. But I worry heavily about overdosing on new info and then not enjoying the new content as much because I've seen so much about it that it barely feels like a new thing to play because it's been... The drip feed has been going on the whole time. I don't know. But it's been a while since we heard about it. And we're hearing about the big greeny boy. So let's find out if he sounds cool. He's supposed to make Gobbos and Orcs cool.
Of the Orcs and Goblins roster together. And we've dug into that a bit further. And we've come up with a name in progress, but apt de plan. Which is a feature around Gorbad experimenting with what different units in the roster can he pull together. And if those form a plan in his head, he can then create a unique strategy around them. So it might be, send out some goblins in front of the archers and they can pick up the arrows. And it's like, well, now you've got a way to regenerate your ammunition during the battle because he's got arrow catchers, go in and get it. Or maybe it's a more campaign-focused thing of like, what if I bring loads of Wolf Riders? Then I can do better raiding. So it's all ideas around experiment with your army, what units you bring, and that can have both campaign and battle and interactions to make him quite different.
So
I wonder if that's something we find out through the game or something we just kind of do. Like you're playing and you build your normal army and then you suddenly realize, oh shit, my army's doing this weird thing. I don't know which I would like more. Like in general, I like seeing the information. But first time playing, just finding out, like, oh, I brought a couple of these units and suddenly my army is making way more money, the Wolf Riders with the raiding, or if it's an event type thing. That's interesting, and it might go and promote more diverse armies, which is also really good.
Mentioned units, are there any that you can tell us about today?
Yeah, I think the unit I most want to talk about is the characters, the Savage Orc Shaman. So to go back to how we're always looking at the game and trying to find where it makes sense. For us, we thought we have Wurzag in game right now. We've got lots of Savage Orc tribes in game, but none of them are being actually led by Savage Orcs, which they should be. So if we bring in the Savage Orc Shaman, we can right that wrong, and we can bring in a new bit of gameplay, but also refresh some old experiences and make it feel a bit more authentic to the Warhammer world. It's weird having a Savage Orc tribe led by an orc.
Yeah.
Now it's a Savage Orc, so yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, we want to give you that flavour.
Yeah.
We had that in the past with Shadows of Change and didn't quite get that right there with Mother Stankia. So yeah, absolutely want to make sure that you can role play it.
It is super important. It's also really weird when the small provinces of Kislev were being led by boyars who were supposed to be in charge of like massive cities, especially when they added in Ostankia, and then they're like, yeah, a lot of Kislev is like super rural and witchcrafty and really leans heavily into that side of it. It was like, you're missing a big chunk that actually gives us that feeling. But having Savage Orcs lead Savage Orc tribes makes way more sense.
Out the armies that you want to build, and yeah, Sean was like dead set on getting this character in for you.
Yeah, when we brought in the Savage Orc, it did make us take another look at Wurzag. They're like, well, if we're giving him another character, maybe we should take a look at what he's up to. So we've actually moved him as well. So we've moved him from the Badlands down to the Southland jungles to pay homage to his origin in his 8th edition lore. And we're working on like a little nod to his connection with Gork and Mork and the...
I wonder what his new missions... I hope they have everything nicely finished up and sorted out with his new missions stuff that has to be there. Because if they move him, his missions need to be focused on that area. Not that they just transplant him and it's like, have fun, all your missions are way up there. Because we've had that happen with other dudes. But Gork and Mork are... And, okay. It's really good that they're keeping also track of, you know... Wozak, like, more dancing naked men. Obviously, you think Wozak. So, it's good that they're, you know, working on that stuff as well.
Savage Orc tribe, so, yeah, a new, fresh experience there. Something we're looking to do in other places as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we want to see your best Wurzag dance.
The time will come, I'm sure.
I think all of them need to do the dance. I feel like they failed by not doing the dance.
What about Golgfag? What's coming down that line with the Ogre Kingdoms? Is there more stuff that you can tell us about now?
Yeah, I can tell you some more stuff about that. You're pulling it all out of me today.
I'm very heavily aiming at you today, Sean.
I'm in the crosshairs.
Yes, because you're heading this all up. You know, you've got all the juicy details.
Yeah, I'll make sure I do a good job. So Golf...
They just pointed out that he was the one, you know, in charge for this one. But again, if I recall correctly from the first video, I think I liked a lot of the stuff he did. So that's good news. That's really good news.
I mentioned earlier, he is the mercenary guy. So, well, we have to make him a mercenary, right? Like, we have to create the first proper mercenary faction in Warhammer 3. So we've got a brand new feature set now where you can take on Golgfag's contracts. And you actually work for another faction. So if I create a scenario here...
sorry.
I feel bad when my phone goes off. But I'm like super duper, you know, I'm sitting in my bedroom playing video games.
He obviously had to deliver a mercenary experience. So for the first time in Warhammer 3, we're trying to create a faction that plays like a mercenary, so you will work for other factions. So in his new feature, Golgfag's contracts, you can, let's say Carl Franz is having some trouble with Vlad and he offers you a job, you can take on all his...
We've got an eye patch. Carl Franz, wait, what do you mean Carl Franz working for Vlad? Did I misunderstand that? I got distracted by visuals. So you will work for other factions in this new feature?
Factions. So in his new feature, Golgfag's contracts, you can, let's say Carl Franz is having some trouble with Vlad,
having
and
trouble
he offers
with Vlad
you a
makes
job.
More sense.
You can take on all his wars and go, okay, I'll work for you, Carl. You beat up Vlad and maybe Drake just causing trouble, or Kemmler as well.
He's looking ogre-y.
If you do enough good job for him, you know, beat up his enemies, maybe gift some of the settlements to him, you can fulfill your contract, and Carl will give you a nice big juicy payday at the end of that. So
this is going to be really important, the value proposition of those contracts, because the current contracts for Ogre Kingdoms in general, the value proposition, it's like, I need to run 10 turns over that way, I'm going to get 500 gold for it. Ooh, that just ain't going to pay for it. That ain't going to make sense. So, if the value proposition in this contracting stuff is actually worthwhile, or at least breaks even, I like the idea of having contracts and things like that. I like the idea of it. It really comes down to how they implement it. most of the time you ignore them. Exactly, because the value proposition is gone. It sucks. Vlad can barely survive to turn 30. People, yeah, well, Vlad could give you a contract. So, if Vlad can offer you some good money, I mean, what's the vamp going to do with the money? RadiantAsh, it looks like he is a competent talker, but rest of the guys are just there to make sure he will not say too much. Do you want some opinions? Okay, we'll go and throw out some opinions. CA, you're not watching this video, so don't. Opinions. This guy just came back. He is not going to say shit right now. He just said he came back. He's going to be very careful not to mess up, because he just came back. This guy seems pretty chill. This guy just admitted to being part of Shadows of Change, and we know how the community feels like about Shadows of Change, so he can't talk too much during this video. And the dude from Sophia, who was in the last video, who was in this seat, because there was a different dude. I'm better with voices than faces, but when he spoke enough for me to hear that he had a very, very English island accent, he had an island accent, it was clear that the Sophia guy is missing. He's the missing person. And the Sophia guy seemed pretty chill and chatty as well. Just, he had an accent because, you know, he's from Bulgaria. So, he had an accent. So that's who's missing in this video. But, I think they're all passionate about the game. But if he's the lead person, then yeah, he's the one who needs to do the talking. Also, this one here wants halflings, which I would really like. This one here, we know shit all about. Because he hasn't said anything. I feel like a lot of the community isn't happy with this one. Also, throwing that out there. So, there's that. Just gonna let you know. But a lot of the community is happy with this one. I don't know how the community feels about this one because, well, I'm not completely certain who this one is. Guy interviewing, don't care. Ash is better. This guy also... He's doing what he's supposed to. He's doing what he's supposed to. But he's also, you know, he's the MC. He's supposed to be the one bringing the energy and making sure everything's like, but, I keep it fun. But I feel like he's carrying the weight for that currently. He's like, oh, you're pulling everything out of me. I asked the question twice, man. I'm not really poking you, but okay. So I feel like he hasn't had a chance to shine yet. But he doesn't really need to shine. We want to hear about the game and get excited about the game. So I best take so far was Mercy the Mad Cosplayer from Lucius. So let's go and continue.
Yeah, and we've even tried to keep it like, you're a neutral party, you're just a mercenary. So a lot of the diplomacy that comes with beating up Vlad will actually get passed on to Carl. Like, you know, he's the one that hired you. It's not Goldfag's fault that he's doing a good job.
That's really nice. Because sometimes, you know, you get a contract and you're like, right, that's cool and all, but now I need to deal with the consequences of this, and this. But if we get, like, a job from France, like he said, from Francie Pants, and we're supposed to beat up Vlad, I wonder if, while we're doing the contract, that war can be quit out afterwards straight away. It's like, nah, I'm Carl France right now. I work for Carl. Do you know what'd be kind of cool? If you could, like, you know how you borrow armies, or you have units from different armies and they get the little flag thingy? If there was, like, a thing where you're like, this army's doing the contract, so this army has this little flag, and this army can go and slap all the people over there without it causing you issues. Or just that, for the time of the contract, diplomatic choices aren't, you know, permanent on you. Because, oh, now I'm at war with Vlad and I need to wait 10 turns to go in. Piecing out isn't a 10-turn thing. But, oh, do you know what? I had trade with Vlad, but now I need to declare war on Vlad. I had non-aggression with Vlad. I need to declare war on Vlad. I need to wait 10 turns after breaking that contract, otherwise no one trusts me. Just you know, a kind of little bubble of while you're doing this contract, all your diplomacy relations with that faction are kind of on pause because you're working for Karl France. But I hope we can offer contracts to others. I could fly an eagle through that. Hey. I used to have a gap tooth. There's nothing wrong with a gap tooth. I don't have one anymore. By the way, if you're young, I don't know if this works for older people, but for younger people, if you're young and you have a big gap here and it bothers you, you can have, there's a little bit of skin right in here, so below your lip, that can be snipped, and then your teeth will just grow back together. I used to be a bunny, is what I'm saying. Mercenary work shouldn't be linked to your personal relations. Exactly. Your personal relations are separate. When you're working for Vlad, you're working for Vlad. Like, have some kind of flag system that you can, I don't know, have some kind of system that protects you from the problems of being a mercenary. Or just have those planned in that you are unreliable. You are going to go and work for whoever pays you most. I wonder if we as the players can hire Golgfag. That might be too much. Because already just figuring out how to make the mercenary system work is going to be a headache. Let's be real here. But it would be really cool if, as the player, you could hire the AI Golgfag to go and attack someone. Or do something. I would like to see the system working not only for player, but AI ordering mercs as well. Straight up, I don't see the AI using many of the mechanics in general in the game. I would like to see the AI just using mechanics more. Like, they use army abilities. But remember when Sinch just spammed spells and never stopped and didn't have a cooldown? They need to be careful about that. I would like to see the AI using it, but imagine you're playing the game and some weird mercenary thing happens every single... I don't know how the mercenary thing... I just worry about these kind of things. They need it... When they implement it, they need to implement it well. Or like the Skaven Menace Belows, or the AI or Skaven putting settlements up. Skaven should go and raise settlements with food, but they oftentimes don't use their own mechanics. So it would be interesting, but I don't know. It's not Golgfall's fault that he's doing his job. They did say they were going to pass on the bad relations over to France, but exactly how that functions is a bit still in the air until we actually get a play.
So at the end of that contract, maybe Vlad says, could you work for me instead and take on Karl next? So we've created this new experience where he does kind of roam the world, taking on the jobs and beating up anyone he fancies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw another one at you, Sean. I don't know if you can guess what I'm going to ask you.
Do you want some more content? Do you want
Maybe
a crumb
a
of
bit.
content? Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. Are we going to do this again?
We're going to do it again.
A little tiny bit of content about
We're getting
Khorne
a little
and
bit more.
Skulltaker. Yeah?
Sure.
No,
I
that's
thought
enough.
Oh, okay. I thought you...
Go away! Go away! That's not how it works. You know the rules. You know the rules. You give us the content now.
I thought you were going to ask about another ogre piece of content, which I could say, well, we're doing the Yetis, but I guess we'll go straight into Skulltaker if you want.
Sorry, what? Yetis?
Yeah, the Yetis, but we'll move on from that. Yeah.
Tell us, you can cut that. Tell us a bit about Yetis.
The Yetis are like a monstrous infantry unit for the ogre roster. They are like quite ice imbued and come from the deep recesses of the mountains in the ogre kingdoms, and to give them a bit of a difference from Gorges, who are quite aggressive, charging in. The Yetis actually come with like a passive debuff, an aura of frost, I think is our working title there. So you want to mix them into your roster in places to debuff the enemy so that your ogre balls can really hit them hard on the charge.
Are they really
To like frostbite? Just to, or is it going to be like an AoE thing?
big or just big?
Just big.
Just big, okay. Just one.
Yeah, big, furry.
Yeah. As a Yeti should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Are they soft and fluffy?
I wouldn't pet them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's
We
have a
pet
look
them.
at Khorne.
Mm-hmm.
Skulltaker.
Yes.
It's their format. I don't know.
What new info can you give us?
Well, I think last time I told you that he's a champion hunter. You know, that's his probably gameplay role there. So again, we've dialed into that on the campaign side as well. With Skulltaker, he's all about hunting down champions, taking champions,
cute.
taking their skulls. And for us, we are trying to capture that. With,
I like the
when he
head
defeats
thing.
characters in campaign, he will claim a portion of their strength, some of their champion essence, which he can then use to imbue his Cloak of Skulls. And the whole idea of the feature is seek out, you know, powerful characters, defeat them, claim some of their strength, and empower yourself even further.
So Karnak is about going and chasing down people and numbing and killing them, right? Specifically lords and heroes, like specific ones. And then Changeling is about causing mischief and all that. But he also goes and seeks out legendary lords and copies their abilities. And now we have him who makes his cloak get different powers based on, well, Lord? And then there's a Tharian who gets different buffs depending on what faction you steal some stuff from. So we've got some things that are similar. I wonder how this is going to be specifically implemented. But we've got some, like, things that we can build off of. Our mental images of what might come. And he's going to talk some more.
So that you can become the ultimate Khorne champion and the ultimate champion of the Warhammer world.
So it's literally a process of the more people you kill, the stronger you are.
Yeah, and if anyone starts to look pretty tough.
Additive. With the other ones, most of the things you pick up are not additive. So, more like traits. We're getting extra traits. Okay.
Well, you just kill them, right? And then you take their strength, and now you're even
then you're
tougher.
tougher.
Exactly.
And it's just exponential until you're champion of everything.
Yeah, until he's stood at the top of the peak alone.
Yeah, he's got skulls everywhere. I was looking at the art the other day, what our character artists have done, and even his sword, on the blade, there are skulls etched all the way up there. The guy is fully stocked.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Units. Are there any new units or anything like that you can talk about for Khorne for this DLC?
Yeah.
For the Khorne thing, for a boy here, I really liked his little brain blobble. I know we got some. Do we have anyone that's got the brain blobble? I like the brain blobble. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about what we've got coming for them.
No, or maybe
and
not.
I guess touching back on one of the other questions that you asked about how we produce and package up the content, Khorne's got something slightly different. Not too different, but slightly different in that we've been looking back in all the books and the materials that were sent by Games Workshop, and what we're trying to do obviously is create parity across all three different strands of the DLC. Where you've got your legendary lord and legendary hero and so on. But with Khorne, when we came to look at what other options were available for some of the generic characters, they didn't quite have as much stuff on offer now as maybe what some of the other factions do, as we've been exhausting it through the various different DLCs and products.
I know as a content creator I should know this answer, but chats, really important question. I don't play Sigmar and Old World. Does Old World? How much Khorne content? I wonder how much CA is under stress from Games Workshop under what they can and can't make and what is acceptable and isn't. Like chats. He just said there wasn't that much stuff for Khorne. Valkia being Warriors of Chaos. Yeah. But they've already gone and ripped Chaos apart and made them, 4 distinct factions, which is gonna make it a little bit more rough. So I feel like Warriors of Chaos can be drawn in to add extra flavor. And I know, like the Festus, V-Leech. Hey, Azazel? Azazel's like ancient. And they dragged him back. And it was great. So I feel like, I wonder how much pressure and how much leeway they have with CA. We know from one of their earlier blog posts that I said CA, Games Workshop, GW. We know from one of their earlier blog posts that they need to get a lot of things approved by GW. We also know that Silostra got a lot of backlash, and she was a CA created character. I love Silostra, by the way. She's my favorite Vampire Coast person to play, and I understand a lot of people don't like her, but I still wonder if their relations have chilled out enough that it's maybe not as stringent, but it's sounding like maybe it's in a rough place still for making things work, like ripping apart Chaos, and now they need to go and make them feel like their own unique factions that are fully complete and well-rounded. So if they're having difficulties with Khorne right now, you know what I mean. You know what I mean, right? There isn't a ton of Khorne stuff. They have pretty much covered it with Skulltaker. Ooh, dang. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. Ugh. If they don't have much extra content, that's not good. Just get Khornungers. And Games Workshop is most likely not going to let them just go and make their own stuff. Especially not with New World and Old World, not New World. New World, something else. Old World and everything, and Age of Sigmar. Ooh, that's rough. Ungors and stuff. It's Lords and Heroes, I think, that they're worried about.
So Khorne's already got, I think, three kind of heroes in already, like the cultists and the like. So there was nothing really more to be added there. We do have a new generic lord though coming in, which I'm sure we'll talk about in the future.
Can't be ranged.
But to fill that
Can't
gap,
be magic.
what we're doing with Khorne is going to give you 2 legendary heroes rather than just the one that you've seen in past experiences.
Okay.
So greenskins and ogres, don't worry, they still fit the same formula as Thrones Decay. But Khorne, you're going to get 2 legendary heroes, and they've got 2 pretty cool ones, or I think they are.
So they're being real here, going, hey, we can't give you another legendary lord because there isn't one. Which is, unfortunate, but still. Okay, so no extra lord for Khorne. With Nurgle, we got 2 lords. With Khorne, we're only getting 1 lord, but we're getting 2 heroes. Because Khorne is a little thin? Okay, fair enough.
So first up, we've got Skylar Anthrogrim, which I think is one that you've all been talking about and expecting to see. We do have that brute of a Chaos Spawn making his appearance with his massive, ape-like stature and fists. He was a past Norscan chieftain, wasn't he?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so he's got all this pent-up rage and fury, he just wants to unleash it all. And then the other character, which maybe you're not expecting, but we're equally excited about doing, is Scar Bloodwrath. Now, Scar Bloodwrath is not an 8th edition character per se. He comes from the end times. So it made sense when we looked at Khorne, how we can get the best and most exciting characters and units into the pack, and to have him. And it will make sense when we disclose some more of the content coming as well, why we chose him. But I think both of those very...
There's also this thing of Khorne's the Chaos faction I would know least about, because it's the blood and gore one. I like Tzeentch's timey-wimey trickery more. I like Nurgle's curl up in a ball and die. I like Slaaneash's excess in everything more. Khorne is the one that I pay least attention to. I do wonder, though, if you could have made one of those heroes into a lord. Because I do like Nurgle getting 2 lords. 2 actual fresh campaigns. Because a fresh campaign feels much more interesting than a fresh hero, obviously. Still can't believe we got Tamarkan before the Glotkin. We got two Nurgle lords. It's so nice having options for the different factions. It's a real shame that Changeling just is not my taste, because it feels like Tzeentch still only has one option. Whereas Corn's going to get an extra option, but it's one. It's not like Nurgle. Nurgle's my favorite, so Nurgle getting the best of the best is the best. Wait, what happened to Age of... more Age of... Today is Total War. For during the week, so from today till Friday, maybe with Friday, is going to be Total War. And then weekend is going to be Age of Mythology again. But we're focusing on this. Very corny though.
Very brutal, very vicious. Yeah, very much strong followers of Khorne, so they'll be fun to play around with.
You mentioned a lot about kind of reference materials and things like that you've got, like the books and stuff from Games Workshop. So what do you use as your reference point?
Well, Mitch is really
actually
good.
Interesting.
You know, one for digging through and turning over every stone and an idea.
No, absolutely, yeah. I think the start of every project is, you know, for me and I'm sure many others, just taking the army book of whatever you're working on and just reading through it. And then you pull out from the army books, loads of notes related to, you know, the characters, the units, and especially the campaign as well. You're always kind of looking for something unique, something interesting that you can pull out from the army book that you can then translate into gameplay. Obviously, it's a little bit more directly translatable with the battle stuff, but in campaign.
So, what I'm understanding, he's the lore guy. That's why he hasn't been talking much, because he's been asking for actual info on the updates and stuff. So this is our lore guy, which is why he worked on, and Beastmen need to feel like Beastmen, Tomb Kings need to feel like Tomb Kings. These are cool ideas, but he's like a lore person. He's like, I am the concept man. I am here for the draft. But he might also do other things, but that's what I'm getting from what he's saying now.
And you're always looking for something just a little bit, you know, unique, something that you can really, and it can be like something really small sometimes, and you can just kind of latch onto and turn it maybe into something quite interesting for a feature or something like that. So yeah, you're always reading through the army books, and there's also lots of other books as well.
Because you know what would be a really cool feature for greenskins? When I was looking into, not the greenskin specifically, but they're bigger, the Gobbos big cousins, what are they called? The hunters, the nobblers. When I was looking into nobblers specifically, the nobblers, it's actually looking into both of them, wasn't it? The nobblers are just like bigger goblins that live in the hillside, and sometimes they run away from the ogres, and then they go and hide in the trees. And they're forest nobblers. And those forest nobblers will build like their own little society of little raiding, horrible creatures, little menaces. I would totally enjoy some kind of endgame crisis. It's not really an endgame crisis, but like the mini events that we now have with the unusual locations that are really cool. I'd really enjoy if there was like a nobbler village, ghost village, where they came out and messed you up and you needed to go and deal with it, because heck in hell, there are nobblers everywhere, stealing all our children. But that might be too much, just random silliness. But when you read this stuff and when you go through it and you look into it and you're having fun, you pick up on weird little small details where you're like, holy poo, what the heck? That's fun. And then you latch on, like he said, which I really like. So, you know, that'd be cool. So, lore guy is here to go and decide what the general draft is. He makes the cool stuff. The other guy, I think he also makes the cool stuff. I think that's his job as well. But this is the lore guy. This is the draft guy.
And other magazines and various source material that you'll just read throughout the entire project to try and just really immerse yourself in whatever it is you're working on at the time.
So is there like a secret library somewhere in the studio that I've not been to? Where all this material is just like this treasure trove?
No, there's not a secret library.
Yeah, no, there's not.
Really? Oh, okay. You just take it home, don't you, Sean? You take it home.
It's got my flat, yeah.
Awesome, cool, thanks Mitch. Well, we've spoken quite a lot about the DLC now, and looking forward to sharing more info in the near future. Let's have a chat with you now, Mitch, and talk about what you've been doing with the smaller updates and the kind of interim patches and things like that, like 5.2 that we've just seen released. What's your approach to this? So how do you identify what you're going to work on, or what you want to add, or what you want to refresh and freshen up?
Yeah, so I think as players...
Okay, straight up, they've been given talking points and they each need to do their talking point. Because if he's the mini patch guy, unless he's like doing double duty as lore guy and patch guy, I don't know what his role is anymore. It made more sense when he was the lore guy, but if he's also in charge of the patches, I'm confused about the roles. Okay.
There is a lot that we want to freshen up in the game, and we do quite a bit of that in the DLCs. But I think what we want to start doing more of is taking the opportunity to do that with the patches. So that's kind of the initiative we're starting now to kind of make our patches a bit bigger, a bit fuller. And in terms of what goes into them, we really want to be player-led. So yeah, 5.2 obviously came with a couple of things. It came with some new things, and it came with some...
Okay, when they introduce themselves, they need to be a bit clearer about their roles, because legitimately, what are your roles? Like, what are you? I'm gonna go and Google him after this stream and figure out who he is, but he did Tomb King's DLC pretty much. He worked on Tomb Kings, he worked on Vampire Coast, possibly led them. I am not exactly sure what his role is, but I'm going to have to Google him. This guy, cool guy. This guy, halflings. I want halflings. I need to Google this guy.
Some fixes, and that's something I think we want to keep going forward. So we always want to try and add something new in the patches, something that you can say, hey, I'm going to come back and I'm going to try that new thing out, and you don't necessarily have to wait for a DLC to have like a new experience. So
that's an important thing as well. That dwarf update, the one that added in the deeps, I think one could have really pushed that a little bit more, because that was actual like content update. I don't know. Have you guys played the dwarf things? Have you seen the dwarf things? That feels like proper update. Even though dwarfs just got an update. So it didn't really need an update, but that felt like, substantial content. Like, you can't say like, oh, it's DLC. No, it's not. But it was substantial content. It was substantial content.
It's always something I think we're going to try and aim for. And then, yeah, on the point of tackling, fixing up some old content, there's a lot of it. Obviously, we've got, a massive amount of content now. So, yeah, we are going to be listening to players a lot. We've got, a great team here that takes all of the feedback from the community and then feeds it to the devs like us. And we'll kind of filter through that. We won't necessarily always have the capability to do, exactly what people are asking for. So, for example, if people want us to do things like add new lords in these updates, that's probably not going to be something we're going to be able to do. And we'll focus maybe a little bit more on things like...
realistic goals, people. Come on. Realistic goals here. But yeah. Realistic goals. Realistic goal... I was also not expecting those two the goblin and the orc new units. Like, they're not a big change, but it's surprising getting them in a patch.
Campaign features, fixing up old features, doing some reworks, maybe smaller reworks. Maybe if some of the patches, we'll do bigger reworks, maybe like a race rework if we can. There's going to be quite a bit of variance in these patches in terms of both the scope of them, how big they are, and the kind of content we do in them. And yeah, again, we're going to be player-led. Just because we're not going to do in these updates.
Players. I am also a player, but it needs to be massive players. Pick choosely in what you go and tell CA to go and make. Make sense. So we get cool stuff. Players, we need to ask for things that we might get. Not crazy things that we'll never get. Like Daikela, we should get Daikela. I don't see why we wouldn't get Daikela. Daikela is cool. And Slaanesh is gonna come. So, we want Daikela. And we need to ask for sensical things. We need to point out sensical things. Not just things, oh my god, this would be so cool. Yeah, it would be really cool, but they're never going to do it. No, we need it. You know, the Bretonnia rework. I'm expecting to see something, well, with how long it took for them to mention Lizardmen rework, with how long we've known that Geomantic Pact is kind of like, boring. It might take a while till they say anything about Bretonnia, but we need a push for the sensical things. I don't think they use as, but yeah. New cute hey. I'm down with cute Japanese waifus. I'm down with Araby waifus. I'm down with more waifus. I want waifus. I'm down with waifus. But GW doesn't have as many cute waifus. And you need to be very careful with the waifus. If the waifus, you don't want to overrun the game with waifus. So, yeah.
New lords and characters. That doesn't mean that for old content there aren't going to be any new lords or characters.
Talking about these things that you're reworking and working on, are you able to tell us anything about what's going to be coming next down the line in the next patch?
So that's a good question. As you noted at the start, we're recording this before 5.2 comes out. So probably what's going to be happening right now, in our time, not in the viewers' time. In the past. We're going to be waiting to see the reception of 5.2. What would be really awesome is to start getting more feedback from players.
Straight up? Okay, real fast. What was your favorite thing about 5.2? Was it the deeps? Was it the greenskin units? Was it the Cathay thing? Was it the cults? Straight up the deeps for me. But dwarfs just got an update, so dwarfs are just super exciting for me. No, that's not true. I remember what it was. Unusual locations. Locations are amazing. I think they were a great addition to the game. The unusual locations. What was your favorite, Deeps? Remember, unusual locations is a thing as well. It's just... I hope you've gotten quite a few of them if you've played. Because the unusual locations are just nice flavor with not the most or the least amount of like benefit or downside. It's just a nice little event. It's something minor that pops up and you're like, huh, cool. Or, ooh, this gives me 5% extra to trade in this settlement. Oh, that's nice. That's a minor little... It's just fun. And the deeps would have been cooler if there were garrison battle against armies. If we got a different map with the deeps, I think that could be add some coolness to the deeps, or like some of the events when you like grab the gold mines that they could turn sour and it's like your place is crashing. Fight the ball rug. I don't know. You know, you do something and something triggers because of it. But for me, it was the unusual locations. Because the deeps are really strong. Spicing things up over with those, I agree. They're definitely the one that are the most far-reaching. Like, you play any campaign, and the unusual locations will pop up. Marienburg, unusual location giving 140k gold. I don't think I've gotten that one. That is cool. That is cool. Is it Marienburg specific, Rick Trash, or is that just like landmark? Now that I think about it, the Araby company, I think there was it an Araby company? No, it wasn't. It was it dogs? No, it was Araby. The one in Barakvar gave me like 5%. And that was just fun. That was just a fun little minor one that was like, yeah, this is gonna stay. And I think they just add a lot of flavor to the game. So I like that.
What is it do they want to see? What content do they want us to go back and fix and update? And if they have even kind of...
Lizardman Geomantic Web. I know, Bretonian people. I know. Geomantic Web. Warhammer 2. Geomantic web. We've been waiting a long time. Fix the geomantic web. I know you guys have done cool things where different lizards buff each other. That's cool. Lizards are really strong on the battle map. Geomantic web. Make it interesting.
Kind of, like I said, we want to do new stuff. So if they've got...
What about Norska? Are you geomantic web? Are you geomantic web? Geomantic web has needed fixing for just because something else is broken. The only lizard man I want to play, and I'm sorry to tell you this, chat. I'm really sorry. The only lizard, actually, there are two of them. The only lizard men I want to play are Tenowin and Nakai. Because the geomantic web bores the shit out of me. So I completely ignore it. Fix the geomantic web. Make lizardmen interesting. Make lizardmen interesting. Lizardmen are so cool. Make the geomantic web not shit. Or, I don't know, make the campaigns for those damn lizardmen a bit more interesting than just Crocker, your Asaurus. Nice. Gorak, you get the Slan super early on, so you're just broken. Tic-tac-toe is more interesting than a bunch of them. Because he's like, ooh, I'm gonna get myself some quaddles. I'm all flyy. He's interesting. You've got a plan for him. But with others, make lizardmen interesting. Make lizardmen interesting. Lizardmen should also have stronger magic. Yeah, that would be fine. I love magic. Just give the lizardmen a little extra flavor. Let me toast some froggies. I want something tasty for the lizardmen. I want the lizardmen update. Who else needs an update? I think vampire counts are highly requested. Bretonia's highly requested. Norsica's highly requested. For me, lizardmen, please. Please. Just a little extra flavor so you don't need to see the 50th Tehenowin campaign because I like gambling. You did a really good job with Tehenowin, by the way. I like fake gambling. I like my fake gamba. Let's continue.
Got idea for, new little features that they want to see in the game. It can be, quality of life features, or it can be some...
I need to quickly bring some. Jacob, I would like to fix undead factions and lizardmen at the same time. Remember, we need a very quietly accept that they're telling us we can't ask for everything, because if we ask for everything, we get nothing. We need a collectively, or at least make it one. If you see that a poll is tied 3 ways, that kind of sucks. Okay, if you see a poll, I don't know. We just need to push more for specific things. Otherwise, we get nothing. If we ask for all 4 things being changed, they're like, we want to fix all of them, but we don't know which one you actually want first. And if my choice isn't the main one, or if your choice isn't the main one, but you see someone's leading, just go and push for it. Just push for it. So they go and give us a rework. Because then the rework could be really cool. Because the Dwarfs rework was really cool. The Beastmen rework was really cool. The Greenskin rework was really cool. Push for them. Just because I love Lizardmen doesn't mean Lizardmen actually has to be next. But we need to push for the same things. I don't think you're going to get that, Lucius. As much as I would like that, I don't think you're going to get that next. That's DLC. That's not a rework.
Something a little bit more mechanical, like the deeps, then we can look to do that. So at the moment, I will mention a couple of things that are on our list. But the big caveat, obviously, is that plans might change. So what we're thinking of doing at some point will be a Bretonia rework. I think, we have looked at them in the past. But they've still got quite a few things that I think we want to fix and update with them. Most notably, me and Rich always talk about this quite a lot, is the Green Knight.
Yeah, the Green Knight's super boring. You just go and grab him, and then yeah. he could use more flavor. But you've talked about other reworks in the last video. I need to know that you're not throwing away the plans from the last video where you're like, these faction need reworks. I want to see CA's priority list. Rework priority list. Like, we've gotten a lot of requests for this one. Or are they like me and I read a comment and then I'm like, ooh, shiny. CA, you can't be like me. I make videos on the internet and talk to you guys. Britannia castles and castle siege maps. That would be cool. But do you know what? Do you know what else would really be cool? Fixing the geomantic web. That's gonna be my focus of just pointing out how broken that. Also, I'm not really good at staying up to date on like the things. The things being the Reddit and all that kind of stuff. What do you guys actually think, if you scroll those areas, what do you think, like, the main rework? Right now, Britonia is obviously gonna be rolling quite heavily, and I know that Sotek was interested in that kind of thing. But for me, Lizardmen really need their update. The geomantic web is so boring. Honestly, more than anything, I just want them to fix the darn game, and I just don't think they will. When you say you want them to fix the darn game, what do you mean by that? See, the big issue with this is everyone has different issues. Like, I don't care if there's some textures missing. That doesn't bother me. But when a unit runs back and forth, when I told it to run forwards, then I get pissy. And I get annoyed. So it really comes down to a lot of people wanting different things, I think, for fixing the game. That there isn't, again, it's the so many spices they don't know if they're making something sweet or savory. It's so all over the place. Even when it's like the patch notes, I'm like, you went and fixed that dude having, no, that Elven princess having her armor looking a bit strange in detail thing. Okay, that's not specifically something that bothers me, but you know what really bothers me? Having units walk across a river when they shouldn't be able to. For me, these are not the same level. Some people want more maps. Some people want more this. They, CA, need to figure out what the majority of people want. Because what I specifically want doesn't really matter. What you specifically want doesn't really matter. What we collectively want is what matters. And at the end of the day, we want a good game. But what a good game is very dependent on the person. Pathfinding has been my biggest complaint through the whole series. There you go. Someone who gets annoyed about the same things. But, you know, it's about what the majority wants. Like, what do you want out of a Total War game? What do you want out of this? They need to figure that out. That's not our job. We're the angry masses. We're the happy masses. We're the whatever masses. We're whatever feeling we currently feel masses that they need to appease. And in general, appeasing the masses is give us a fun game. No one cares as long as it's a fun game at the end of the day. Lucius wants waifus. I don't even care about the waifus that much. I just happen to like a lot of the lady characters.
Right. Yeah, he's
sorry for calling you out.
He's on our list for sure, along with some other feature fixes for Britonia. So they'll be coming, I think, at some point. Also Kislev, I'll mention them. We've seen a lot of feedback.
You guys want a Kislev rework? If it's Kasaltan, yeah. Kislev? Do you guys want a Kislev rework? Interesting.
People want us to take a look at Kislev. And kind of, update them a little bit.
I can see that.
And then we also got some other smaller plans. So I think we've got...
No, Lizardmen aren't a small plan. The biggest plan should be Lizardmen. And Norska does need a bit of an... I like Norska. I don't mind playing Norska the way it is. I have fun playing Norska. But I only play Throg. Sieges without ladders. I feel like that's something they could easily implement. I don't know why they don't. So, Lizardmen, for me, need a campaign overhaul. Not a battle map overhaul, campaign overhaul. Norska, this is based on what I've heard from you, because I'm actually honestly happy with Norska. I don't really need something for Norska. Norska is again campaign, right? Or do you not like units? Like, when you give me an answer, I'm gonna assume you're talking in general and not specifically your own opinion, so I won't read your name. But I'll call out the waifu person who's focused on waifus currently. But, like, Norska is also, again, more campaign-based, right? Because their quests, their Monster Hunter quests, some of them are broken, and just, it's kind of old content now. So I feel like, for Norska, the general one was more campaigny than battle. Then vampire counts. Vampire counts, I feel like, is maybe battle map, because they're just really strong and there's nothing that makes them feel super vampire. I don't know. I don't know what you guys want. Tomb Kings, please rework. What do you want reworked? Like, I would actually like understanding. I know why I want Lizardmen to be reworked. I find a lot of their mechanics, campaign mechanics, kind of boring. Unit caps are so bad. Yeah, unit caps are rough. Is it because Tomb Kings feel bad for you when you play them, or... But unit caps are what makes Tomb Kings unique with not paying for upkeep. Hey, RadiantAsh, what have I missed? We're watching the dev chat. And there was also a hotfix with a bunch of nice things. Tomb Kings just need time reduced for Lords and Canopic Jar balancing. So, on this side, a little bit of someone thinking it's just a balance. I've heard Tomb Kings be mentioned before, though. Tomb Kings, Coast, Daniel Norska. Maybe some of the mechanics for some of these factions, because I play a decent amount of Coast, honestly. And I don't find, again, the campaign mechanic for Coast is kind of eh. And then, because it's just collecting the pieces of 8. Also, when it comes to reworks, this is general discussion. When it comes to reworks, do we want the reworks to be race packs? Because Tomb Kings and Coast are both race packs. Whereas Bretonia is FLC, if you have Game 1. Which is kind of... Most content... Okay. If we think about how the game was put together, most content is going to be paid content to a certain degree and might get someone to pick it up. So from CA's point of view, the reworks make sense. If you want to play Greenskins, you need to buy a DLC or you need to buy Game 1. If you want to play High Elves, you need to buy Game 2 or a DLC to get access to the race. So most updates, unless it's a Warhammer 3 race, is going to incentivize purchases. It's important to keep in mind that they also want to make money. As much as we would like to think and hope that they're doing this only because, they want to make a really cool game. No, they also want to make money. Let's be real here. Coast treasure maps don't make enough. They should have a DLC that includes both Amotep, Dreadfleet, and Tomb King. That would have to be... If they either need to make that a cheap, except they can't, because that would be 2 race packs as one. That's going to be expensive, man. Maybe some kind of price reduction if you own the other factions. I don't know. I totally forgot the treasure maps exist. I forgot about them as well. Because legitimately, I kind of do them sometimes. I forget they're there. Tomb King's is pretty solid considering the time since release. Just add a few things. I feel that way about Vampire Coast. Like, they're secondary. For me, it really is Lizardmen. Same with the Books of Nagash. The Books of Nagash are kind of... I enjoyed the Books of Nagash for what's his name? I don't wear a shirt. I am the Theogenist. I am Volkmar. Yeah, Volkmar the Grim. Empire, yeah. I need to go through my things. But yeah, the Books of Nagash for Volkmar are pretty okay. Like, they give nice bonuses, and you feel pretty okay playing his campaign. Honestly, I should actually play his campaign now that Empire's gotten a rework. Because he might not be my favorite Empire now. Because straight up, Gelt is so fun to play. With the rework, Volkmar might not be as interesting anymore. I wonder how that changed balance for Volkmar. Yeah. Books are fine for all factions, I think. I don't remember the books for most of the factions is the real thing. I only remember Volkmar's. I don't play many of the book people. And when I play... Does Manny have books? I think Manfred does books as well. But I'm not certain if he does. When I play Manny, I'm just too busy going around. Manfred. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I'm just the bald man having fun. Which factions are getting reworked? They haven't said, but the implied Bretonia might get a rework. Some reworks big, some reworks small. But they haven't actually given us any plan for which rework is coming. I would like them to be like, we're thinking, we're planning. No, I need to not say thinking because that's what they're doing. Where they keep saying, it would be really cool. We would like to go and we're listening to your feedback. But they're not saying, we're actually reworking Norska. We're actually reworking Lizardmen. We're actually reworking these things. It's all, this is a work in progress. These are ideas we're throwing around. So we don't have an official, this is going to be reworked. I would like to know a rework for this is coming or that. Lucius, don't lie to him. We don't know if we're getting cute waifus. We might get Daikela. Actually, everyone just assume we're getting Daikela, so we actually get Daikela. She's a snake lady. She's hella cute. She's Slanesh. She's a snake lady. Everyone just go and say that we're getting Daikela, and then we'll definitely get Daikela. That's how it works, right?
Got a big rebalance of the ancillary system and a bunch of new ancillaries that we're looking to do in the near future. The Chaos Invasion, that's also something that we've seen a lot of requests for, which is definitely on our list to kind of bring back in some form. Obviously, it's a little bit different now how we can kind of implement it in Warhammer 3 because all the big bad guys are already on the map. But I think there's some ideas we've got there. So yeah, that's a couple of things just to name, just to give you a little taste. But yeah, like I said, we'll be...
No, they didn't mention the giant squiggle. They didn't in this video. There was no mention of the giant squiggle. The giant squiggle is coming, though. For everyone who doesn't know what the giant squiggle is, okay. You know what squigs are? Bless you. Thank you. Do you know what squigs are? You most likely know what squigs are. If you don't, they're these hippity-hoppity cutie little creatures that greenskins get. They tend to be pink. They have 2 legs. People ride them. Well, we're getting a giant colossal skink in the DLC. It's the single entity DLC that's coming. But it's a giant fucking squid and I'm really looking forward to it. They have implied it so heavily, it's coming. And if it doesn't come, riot. Don't riot. But at the same time, giant squig is coming. They have, up till this point, promised giant colossal squid. If it turns out giant colossal squid isn't coming, maybe I actually cry.
Waiting for feedback, and we really do want to be player-led, so it will, plans might change depending on what it is people want.
As Mitch said, we're gonna try and inject variety of content into.
What do you think about High Elves, Dark Elves, and Slanesh getting a DLC together? That would make perfect sense. Give us Daikela. There's that High Elf who's already been voiced that isn't in the game, which is weird. And then give us a Dark Elf. And give me my sexy snake lady. I want my sexy snake lady. Give me the sexy snake lady. I'm sorry.
Into these updates. Hopefully you saw recently 5.2 we added a couple of orc and goblin units. There's other ideas around weapon variants, stuff like that, but that's the sort of thing that we're aiming for at the moment. Whereas, you know, characters like Egrim, I know people are after him, he'd be better suited.
Same things. He's interested in the same things. It was good to add those orc and goblin units because they were just kind of missing and it was whatever. But it rounds the roster out, adding those. Whereas the unusual locations was like flavor. It's like you'd feel weird if there wasn't salt and sugar in your food. That's what the goblin and orc unit were. But unusual locations were the spices that made it, you know, interesting. Whereas if you didn't have the salt and sugar, all those spices would just be shit. So he's being sane by mentioning that, and then Horseman is really cool. But if you just get spice, you've got spice with no actual food. I don't know if this metaphor makes any sense, but what I'm saying is, if you make a sandwich and you take away the bread, aka goblin and thing, you just have a bunch of ingredients. It's not a sandwich anymore. You need to round it out and make it balanced.
To a DLC in the future.
And not in strength level,
please
but
don't expect those
taste.
in the minor updates.
So this feedback that you're acting on from the community, whereabouts are you kind of compiling that from? Which channels that we have are you using for that?
Yeah, so we've got a fantastic player experience team here. Like I said, they kind of give us devs like really great feedback directly from players. So you can go on our official forums, our official Discord, and to be honest, most other social media, we'll find it eventually. And yeah, it's maybe not always obvious, but I can promise you we do get all of the feedback from players, and it is massively helpful in shaping, you know, not only I guess what I do in the updates, but just everything we do in general. So go there, leave all your feedback, it'll reach us, and then we can act on it.
Awesome. Yeah, feedback.
We do a lot of reading.
I bet.
And I wanted to stress, if there was a faction maybe you were hoping Mitch might have mentioned but didn't, don't worry. We've got a bunch of other, you know, plans and DLCs and things still to do. So we've got ideas around some of those other factions.
I'd really like to know how they gather their info and how they do data for this kind of thing. Like I said, if these show us the data for which race needs... Like, if they showed us a list of how different factions were ranking or different races were ranking in rework lists, they do a lot of reading. They shouldn't be doing the reading. Maybe they should be. I don't know. But I feel like they need statisticians. You know what I'm saying. They need people to go and analyze the data and tell them this is what people want. Because you're supposed to be making us a cool game. No offense, I don't want you. You can read nice compliments and fun thingies, but at the same time, just make us a cool game. When you're at work, you should be doing the worky things. Make us a cool game. Make us cool content. You don't need they might need a read. I don't know how much they know, but you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I want them to be doing the important things, like making us an awesome game. They watch Legend on the sly. Hey, let's be real here. CA definitely watches Legend. Legend is most likely the biggest content creator for Total War. Like, who's a bigger content creator for Total War? There might be someone, but when it comes to Total War specifically, I think Legend's the biggest content creator, so... Statisticians? Thank you for writing it. Why can't I read it better when I actually see it written? I like they listen. I want them to listen as well, but at the same time, they need to be making us the game and not spending all the time listening. We don't know their balance. We can't micro them. I have control issues. All I'm hearing is I want to micro them. Be like, okay, 30 minutes a week, and that's it. And then make us the cool game for the rest of them. Oh, but they're meetings. Do you need to be present for those meetings? Step back. Just give me a cool game and I'll be happy. Just give me a cool DLC. I'll be happy. I'm already happy. I'm having fun with Kislev. Let's go.
Yeah.
As well, they're very much on our radar.
Yeah, it's a good point that I guess it might not always be obvious kind of how we make the decisions we do in terms of what we do. So obviously we know better than players what our plans are. So we might know, for example, what we might do in future. And that then might mean we do something a little bit different for an update because we know in future this other piece of content people are going to want us to fix, or we've already got that on our in our plans. Trust that, I guess, even if you're kind of giving feedback and not seeing it directly action straight away, it is reaching us and it's being seen. It's being seen. It's in the plan somewhere probably.
The listen.
But that's all we've got time for today. So thanks to Rich, Mitch, and Sean for joining me again for this today. It's been a lot of fun. Been good chatting with you again. Do let us know your feedback on this format. We want to keep improving it for you, and don't forget to give us your idea.
Okay, a couple things. Format. 1. I really like the new format. It's very much just chatting. That's pretty good. 2. Introduce yourselves better. I'm still kind of confused about what that one dude does. You're the MC, but you're also a CA employee, so you're most likely also something else. Maybe mention that other thing you are, even if it's irrelevant, because you're the MC in this area. Also, it's very clear that they have their little talking points when they talk. It's like, these are the things I'm supposed to talk about today. These are the things I'm supposed to talk about today. It's part of why I got really confused about what the heck Sean is. Butt ladders? Yeah, I don't know if the butt ladders are in or out. So how do you guys feel about this? I'll go and let this video finish. How do you feel about this content? It's our second video of this. It is personalizing also the different people. Like, I'm being careful about not saying certain things. I don't know. Also, especially with CA being very defensive about don't point fingers at specific people. Yeah, because you shouldn't. Don't do it. CA as a whole does something wrong, or CA as a whole does something right. But you're singling out, like, very specific people, and that could be iffy, especially with how they like shutting people down when it comes to talking about things. Like, if one of these people says something that upsets the community, there's a face that people can look at and be like, it was your face that said that thing. You were the one who was rude to us. So I hope CA is just keeping that in mind when they post these videos. I really like the personal touch of the just chatting element to it. But I feel like they're little talking points. I feel like maybe if they're just like, right, so guys, this is what I'm supposed to tell you about. Or are they trying to make it more natural? It's starting out.
Ideas and suggestions for things you'd like to see reworks on from Mitch and the team. We'll make sure that feedback gets through to the right
Lizard
people.
Men.
You can do that on the CA community forums or the Discord server, or of course you can just get us on our Total War social media channels. We hope you're having fun with 5.2, and we're looking forward to giving you more information about patch 5.3 and the next DLC in the near future. So until that time rolls around, we'll say goodbye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Do we remember when they said the next DLC was? I think their written blogs are better. That would be more curated, but people can also pick those apart much better. So we need to go get in touch with... No messaging people specifically. You know that's not allowed. No saying bad things about specific people. Having a tooth gap. There's nothing wrong with having a tooth gap. Directed at that one comment about tooth gap. There's nothing wrong with the tooth gap. some people don't like it. Some people do. Okay, I haven't had dinner, but I do want to continue playing games. So, it's not even 5 with Sieges, the butt ladders. Nah, there's some other issues, but I think they have been improving Sieges. Straight up, I feel like Sieges are better than when I started with 3. So yeah. They said DLC late in the year, so December 31st. What year? Did they say what year? Did they say what year? Because I think I remember something was late in the year and then it turned into like the fiscal or the something year, and it wasn't even, you know, the normal calendar year. It was the, oh, somehow January counts as part of the year. Well, yes, pathfinding, well, still not good, is better than what it used to at launch. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting more aware of it. Maybe it took longer for some of the pathing stuff. Like, the current patch, I need to pay attention, but pathing's been something prior to me being away from the game for a while, where it was the reason I was getting irritated on stream sometimes. But I don't know where pathing is right now of this patch. So we want to play some more games, though. But I definitely need to, like, grab a snacky. So I think we take... No, at least they're trying, even if they're badly off. Do you know what, though? Actually, talking about updates that made me really happy. When I started seeing the changes to the tech trees, you could see that it was people who understood the game a bit better. Because the tech trees were so imbalanced on launch. Like, really, really horrendously imbalanced. So seeing them going and fixing things that are, you know, a bit problematic is really good.